I'm back. Yay. Alright, let me just title this thing. This is probably gonna mess with the way this saves, but that's okay. Okay. Alright, so where was I? I was talking about licensing and getting around that, which is totally possible due to, you know, just being friends with people, talking to people, advertising on semi-private networks where government doesn't usually snoop. Totally possible to get around the government, and yeah. Also, what you can do to succeed in any kind of advertising for doing things around the government is that you can offer very affordable prices compared to people who have to go through all that regulation and licensing. And also I recommend doing this sort of on the side, because creating your whole business around sneaking around the government, it's possible, but there's more of a risk of getting caught. So I kind of do my stuff on the side that I was talking about. I don't make it my main thing, because if you get too big, someone might find you. But making an extra $100, $200, $300 a week, that's really awesome, and you can do that probably successfully without getting caught or anything. So that's what I recommend for working around the government. Find something you like doing that might require government regulation, and just go around it and make some money. It's awesome. Okay, and on my list, let's see, I talked about silver, but there's other examples, I guess, like Bitcoin can be used. Shire silver is more of a smaller version of carrying around big silver. Lots of silver opportunities, gold, precious metals out there. Also, bartering is something that should really be looked into more, and perhaps try to wean yourself off of this consumerist type thing that the government always talks about. Like if you're not spending, you're not helping the economy and all that, but why spend what you don't have to? You don't have to spend money, not that it's real money anyway, but definitely, like, in this movement, there's a lot of people who would probably not mind, trading stuff with you. If you have kids, talk to someone else who has kids, trade clothes, sell to each other, people that make food, clothing, crafts, all that. There's stuff out there, and, support each other. That's really, I think, important, and something that I actually haven't noticed too much. I wish there was a place that we could all kind of go to do that. I created a Facebook page thing, actually. It's called the Agorist Marketplace. I was running that for a little bit, just posting if people had stuff they wanted to sell to other agorists. And I mean, I don't think, again, the government would snoop and see that we have a little barter thing going on. Not that that's even probably illegal anyway, but it was just a way for us to help each other, and use each other for our goods and services. So I really think barter is something. It's been around for a long time, even though there's probably a new surge of it due to our movement. I know growing up, my parents used to go to flea markets. My dad still barters with some stuff that he does. So it's always been around. It's always awesome. So look into that. Talk to people about what they have. I mean, I'm just looking around my apartment. There's a lot of stuff I'd love to trade for things that I might actually need. So yeah, it also helps with building relationships with people. Say I haven't talked to someone in a long time, but I know they like something that I might want to get involved with, so I can talk to them. Helps build relationships, communication. Really awesome. I love it. Yeah. Why spend money you don't have? Thanks, James. Yep. Alright. Also, another thing I've seen in the liberty movement in general, writing books. A lot of people I know have started writing books about how messed up the idea of government is, and all that. Fictions, children's stories, everything. Writing ed-ops, writing online blogs, all that stuff that you do. And it can be profitable if you work for maybe an organization, or you start getting donations in. And that's something awesome too about agorism and this movement, is that we all understand that we don't want to be, we don't want to sell out to, something that we don't believe in. So we end up supporting each other way more than usual, I would say. Like I would support a friend who would like maybe start up a blog all about, maybe growing a garden or something, something that's agorist. I would support them way more than if they were writing for like the Philadelphia Inquirer or something. Because I know that they're trying to help promote these ideas. They're working around the system by gardening. That's really awesome. So doing that's really, really cool. Books are awesome. They can often, make it out there. I mean, like Tom Woods, Ron Paul, their books on the ideas of liberty have been pretty successful. So, yeah, there's a market for it, thanks to government. So that's a good optimistic way of thinking about it. Like, thanks to government, I can blank. Fill in the blank. That'll keep you a little optimistic and not get in a little depressed rut that a lot of us get into sometimes when, it can feel like the fight is useless. But I mean, after I went to Pork Fest last year, I was fine. I realized that I don't have anything to be depressed about. Really awesome. Okay. I put down a couple of organizations too to look into if you haven't. I'm sure you have. First, Individual Sovereign University, that provides classes and education that's alternative to, maybe spending $45,000 a year on college, or, even, if you're still attending college or high school or something, or any other kind of, formal education, you can, alternative, affordable classes that are really awesome. And I don't think, something that I think is a big, like, stigma, and people think into it too much, is like the resume. If you put down, I learned Latin on Individual Sovereign University, or in Individual Sovereign University, took Latin like 1 to 3 or something. You think anyone's gonna say that doesn't count as an education? I don't think so. So because of all this, government getting involved with education and all the financial aid, which is the biggest garbage ever, you know, there are a lot of alternatives that you can look into, and yeah, Individual Sovereign University is one that I love. And yeah, the point also is to educate yourself with this stuff. It's not always about, what others think, like what the status quo is. Like if you want to learn how to garden, you want to learn how to garden. Doesn't matter if it's like known to the rest of the world where you learn. If you learn and you go out there and you garden and you make your own food, that's all that matters. Why does it matter, what the world thinks or what the status quo is? It doesn't. So again, I always talk about agorism being like a sort of mental enlightenment where you can think above, the norm, and do what makes you feel good, do what benefits you, and that's it. Anyway, and another thing I have on the list, Center for a Stateless Society, which is another great group for alternative news sources. If you want to get involved with them, they're c4ss.org. Individual Sovereign University, it's indsovu.org for that. But yeah, Center for a Stateless Society, there has been quite the pickup for this kind of news source, for alternative news sources, especially of the anarchist persuasion. So they're making, great work, great getting picked up by tons of like mainstream media, the op-eds. So they're really successful, and they also, the people that work there, they get paid, they're making money, all through like your voluntary donations, which is really awesome. And hopefully, I think if, like I was saying, if we could all support each other, support these groups that I'm mentioning, support these ideas, like don't put your money into, not that I'm against, big like businesses that just happen to succeed, but don't go spend money at like Walmart, like tons and tons of money, when you could be getting those same things maybe through an agorist. I don't know, I'm just saying. Might be good to look into that more. Okay, so last part of my talk, I listed some, let me readjust myself. Ugh. Okay, I listed some maybe controversial ways of using government against itself. So these are things that might be risky to do, and people might get mad at you for doing them, your friends and family, for instance. We'll get into this, but they might be worth the risks, and you might want to look into them. So recently, well, mainly in New Hampshire and all that with the civil disobedience, getting arrested might be a great way to set an example, but I sort of wrote out here, ways that it might not be worth it and ways it might be worth it. So, for instance, if you know that you are right, you know that you're not hurting anyone, and you're not even doing anything that they deem illegal, and they just arrest you, I think that would be a great example, and you might also benefit by like suing them, or doing something to make huge headlines. Like for instance, when Pete in New Hampshire refused to take off his hat in court, you probably all heard the story, and they arrested him. That's something that I think is worth the arrest to an extent, because if you haven't done anything wrong, and you make huge headlines, I think that might be worth it. Might be. But also, what to think about is that while you're educating a lot of people, like, was it worth your time when you could be sort of, living peacefully away from all this stuff, and just, not going out there and trying to get in trouble? Like, Pete wasn't trying to, but in other instances, like, would your time be better spent maybe creating alternatives, like in the comfort of your own home or something, rather than going out there and, maybe like smoking pot, for instance, in public? Like, you could certainly do that underground and not get caught, but by going out in like the open and doing it, you're starting trouble, but you're also, creating a sort of something for people to look at, something that creates news stories. But sort of like doing disobedience for the point of just being disobedient, I'm kind of iffy on that. I don't know if it's worth it. There's better things you can do than risk getting arrested, because we don't need to lose people here. But yeah. So yeah, but I'm sort of in the mindset myself, just if you're right, and you know that they have nothing on you and they arrest you, and you want to get them in trouble, maybe go for it. Might be worth it. I guess at Drexel we sort of had something like that happen, when the police, we had a conference here, and the police came to a conference participant who was smoking a cigarette. They detained him they thought it was marijuana for some reason, even though I guess they don't know the smell of marijuana, which is weird. But so they detained him, and they were trying to get his ID, and he was smart. He like refused to show them. We came out with video cameras, and we were just trying to get it on film for our protection and their protection. But they told us, they were swearing at us, threatening us, saying we would get arrested, breaking our cameras, saying that stuff. But we knew we were right the whole time, and we knew that it was legal to film, so we kept it up, and eventually we filed a complaint and met with the police, and the one that was threatening us got in serious trouble, I would say, and they changed their whole system of educating the police now on campus. So now it's included in there that students can film in public locations. You can't threaten the students for filming, you can't swear at them. and all this like etiquette stuff was added too, so now the police have to treat us nicely because we did all that. So you see, that I think was a good example of how it's a good thing, because the police are going to be there whether we like it or not, but you can use them being there to make them a little better at what they do, less harmful to us, less painful to be around. And another thing that I have under controversial is the drug war, because I know that, I mean, a lot of us don't, you know, just buy the whole I'm going to drink alcohol till I, you know, get really hungover the next day. And I don't like alcohol. I could go on a rant, but just with the drug war, you have to be careful, whether it be, you know, something that's becoming decriminalized like marijuana. Like if you want to get involved with, you know, making profits, you know, going around, you know, the system to, you know, raise prices, make profits, basically deal drugs, you know, that's very risky. I wouldn't recommend it too much, as in it's your decision, but it is a possible alternative business that goes around the system, so just be careful with what you do. I'm not your mother, but yeah. Alright, let me see. I'm just looking in the chat real quick. Nothing too important to mention. Okay. Alright. So, I guess kind of to wrap up what I was saying, let's see. I guess there are risks involved with some practices if it's deemed illegal, and yes, especially if you are avoiding taxes, if your business is quote legal, not doing anything like drug dealing or anything, but you could still get in trouble just for not paying taxes, just not for getting the like EIN code that you need to start a business that they require for depending on how much profit you make. So there's a lot of regulations, and I mean, I guess before you even look into agorist practices, it's really good to educate yourself on these things. Just look into what's required to run a business, see how you can try to get around that as much as possible. But if your profits exceed what they put down there, like, you know, that's when you know you have to be more careful, and all that. So it's just good, always good to know your enemy and know what they're thinking about, and how safe you are in your practices. And especially if you're not totally off the grid, they can still be watching in some way, I'm sure. So definitely be careful with what you do, and think over everything before you do it. Okay, so I guess to wrap up, you can start posting questions if you have them. I'm seeing some interesting talk. Teresa says, anyone know how to open a bank account for a biz without an EIN? For that, first off, I don't know if you want to open a bank account anyway, but what you could do is just open a personal account at a bank that's not your regular bank. I don't know, I think like the interest though is better maybe for businesses, if that's why you would want to open a strictly business account. But there might be ways just to open a personal account and then tell them you're affiliated with so-and-so business, and then they can put that on the checks too, if that's what you're worried about too. But, you know, try to keep your money out of the banks, maybe as much as possible. Yeah. Alright, so let me go back. Yeah, so basically the point of doing this, the point of using the government against itself, it's not really to get revenge for how horrible government is and all that. You shouldn't be doing it spitefully and angrily, like just doing stuff to, you know, piss someone off up there, or whatever you're thinking. It should be a way that you can have fun, make friends, be social, enjoy smashing the state, as I wrote down here. And eventually, you know, doing this will break it down, creating alternatives will break it, and you will end up succeeding. which is awesome, always. Okay. So any questions you can ask in the chat. I kind of finished early. I wasn't too prepared for this one, but I think that it all comes down to you and what you are good at doing and how you can succeed in what you do. So I guess after this you could ask yourself, how can I get more involved with agorism? I think we can all do something. I'm pretty sure. Teresa says, anyone know of any agorist banks? I wish. Oh. That would be good. Waiting for some questions. Oh, here. Yeah, Jim asked a question about getting, I guess, unemployment, welfare. A lot of people actually are on welfare. That's something I forgot to put that in my presentation. Getting on welfare, unemployment, and all that, while we're against it. And that's one of those things I consider sort of iffy, because while you are getting money, it's like other people's money, and it's like almost dirty to be taking it. I think, like, I feel a little weird about taking money that's been stolen and printed and, unfairly. But, you could definitely do that, I think, if you really need to. I was thinking of doing it, but I'm a student, so I can't. But, yeah, that's just one of those questions where you have to think about it and what situation you're in, and, why not? James says, I think economy should be so efficient that people won't need banks. Yeah, but, to that I would say, if you work only in your agorist community, the economy probably is efficient in that, at least, because, everyone's bartering, everything's at a decent price. The less contact you have with the outside world, where everything's inflated and crazy, the more you can realize, like, what you actually need, like food, water, clothes, things like that, and you'll see that you can barter and, do silver. Oftentimes people who trade silver offer way better deals than not, because they know that it's going to go up. So, yeah, it's always good. Joyce says, don't become dependent on money from the government. That's always good. Ashley asks, what are some services the agorist community could use and would pay for? I would say almost everything, honestly. I think what makes really good money is food, because people love eating. So if you can make food, that's always good, but that's bad for shipping. If you're thinking of creating a sort of national business that ships out. But actually, a friend, George, he makes baklava. He ships that everywhere. It's really awesome. So, that's something. Services. Child care, babysitting, education, teaching classes on what you're good at doing, because we all have something that we're good at. Even if it's like poker or playing games or something. I mean, there's probably a market for it somewhere, which is great. Let's see. Teresa says, Robin Hood says, I see nothing wrong with taking money from thieves. I can go with that. Yeah, I myself am kind of in a position where I just sort of question everything, and I don't know, I don't really, think that I have a definite answer for anything, whether it be, I guess getting unemployment, whether it be what I want to do with the rest of my life. I don't know. I don't have any definites really with stuff that I, do. I don't know where I'm going with this, but because of that, I think that I'm very open to trying different things all the time, and I think that's really helpful for developing an agorism, just learning every day and trying to just like not be in a closed-minded state where you can explore your options and try everything once and see what works for you, and eventually you'll find your niche, and it's really good. Oh wow, that's really cool. Jim says that he gets everything he needs from trade, money from customers, and he got a website for vegetables. Wow, all for produce. That's awesome. That is great. Yeah. So maybe right now, if you want to get interactive in the chat, think about one thing that you're good at doing, maybe good at teaching others, and maybe list that. What is something that you do, whether it be a hobby, something you studied in school, what's something you could teach? And then, when you think about that, there are opportunities for you, such as with Individual Sovereign University teaching a class. So if any of you, after listing what you're good at teaching, want to get more involved, you can find me on Facebook, send me a message, post on my wall, whatever, and maybe we can start up a class for you. And there's been a surge in class participation. People have been buying. You get paid for teaching your class. So yeah, really cool. Teresa, that's really good. Flights, transportation. That's something that's tough though, as, yeah, someone into counterculture and agorism, like getting around. It can be tough, but I'm hoping that's actually something that hopefully in my lifetime there will be sort of like our own forms of transportation. It's very costly though, and that's the problem. You sort of need that. You don't need that. Well, since government is here and around and taking people's money and all that, it's almost like we rely on them being there to make those things, to regulate flights and perhaps make a high-speed rail line, and that really is a trap, and it really sucks that traveling is so difficult, because it's my favorite thing to do, and just getting a plane ticket is really a big chunk of my income, and yeah. But hopefully, maybe like a great startup idea might be creating a like libertarian themed carpooling website, so all libertarians can go on there and talk to one another about finding people to carpool with and ways to get around and all that, and who knows, maybe you could end up getting across the country just car hopping or whatever. Like, that would be a great idea. I really like that, and it happens with PorkFest too, with the carpooling and the convoy Facebook pages and groups. So yeah. And printing, you listed, Teresa. I think there's a bunch of people who do printing and stuff. I could probably Facebook you them. I'd have to do some research because I'm not sure exactly who, but I can get back to you on that if you're looking for printing. And I think they offer really good prices, to fellow agorists, because that's what we do. Yeah, the Craigslist of agorist services. Yes, that's what I was talking about. Let me find on Facebook the agorist marketplace page. I didn't invite anyone to it, and it got so many followers. I was really excited just by people liking it and seeing it on others' walls, so it already had a pretty good success rate, but I'll post that in the chat, and if you guys could go like it, that would be great, because, let's see, because yeah, it has all these different photo pages, and if you will, sell anything, the rules are just yeah, there's rules. Oh no. You go to the wall and you just post what you want, so it gets up on there. So people see your wall post, but then I go in and I get a picture for it and I put